drag and run. The riding is over, but the talking's just begun. It's fellowship, fatherhood, and freedom we share. Got your questions and comments right here on the air. So pull up a chair and let's get it right. Live from the point on a Sunday night. Thanks for stopping by to visit with me. I know there's plenty more out there for us to see. If you like what you're seeing, smash subscribe for me. It's fellowship, fatherhood, and freedom we share. Got your questions and comments right here on the air. So pull up a chair and let's get it right. Live from the point on a Sunday night. It's fellowship, fatherhood, and freedom we share. Got your questions and comments right here on the air. So pull up a chair and let's get it right. Live from the point on a Sunday night.
Hey, Dakota here. It's Sunday night, and you're watching Live from the Point on Burroughs Point YouTube. We have a great show for you tonight, and here's Calvin.
What's going on, everyone? It's Burroughs Point, Sunday night. Welcome to Live from the Point. Thank you, Dakota. So, we got a little bit of a show planned for you tonight. We've got a few things going on in the world. I got to get situated here. First and foremost, I hope everyone had an amazing Independence Day weekend. I know that I did. We were busy with the Fam Jam, doing a whole bunch of cool stuff. So, I'll be honest with you, I'm not as prepared for tonight's show as I usually am, but we'll get through it. We'll get through it one way or the other. So yeah, first and foremost, happy Independence Day. Happy birthday, America. Hope everyone had a great weekend, and my thoughts and prayers and sincere condolences goes out to the victims of the Texas flooding incident out there. If you're not familiar with that area, that's over in the Texas Hill Country. Think the Three Twisted Sisters that are out there. That's Caryville, Texas. That's all that area out there. So keep them folks in your thoughts and prayers. I actually had a plan to go out there here in the next few weeks, actually, go ride the Twisted Sisters. So, and there's actually a local connection here in Alabama to that. There's a girl from Mountain Brook that was one of the victims in the flooding incident out there. So y'all keep them in your prayers. Certainly a sad situation. So, but all that aside, we've got a lot of cool stuff going on in the world. First and foremost is the passage of the big, beautiful bill. Now, before we jump into all this, I want to say that this is not a political show. We don't do politics here. I've always said on this channel, and will continue to say, that Your bike doesn't care about your politics. We don't care about that here. However, there are provisions in the big beautiful bill that will affect bikers, and we want to talk about that situation, exactly what that is going to affect you. Also, Harley-Davidson has recently announced that they're selling a chunk of their headquarters to a brewery. We're going to talk about that. And there's a secret signal from Wall Street about Harley-Davidson. And I guess you could say that there may be a dawn on the horizon there for Harley-Davidson if you pay attention to this secret signal. So we'll take all of these things in turn. I'll be watching the chat as we go. First of all, if you're watching, drop a message there in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. See Motorbahn Virginia, welcome to the show. He's been a regular here, popping in on the channel from time to time. So thank you for coming. Love that you're here. So I guess the first thing is the big beautiful bill. So there's been a lot of this. I did a video on this topic. I think I dropped the video when the bill had passed the House and was in debate in the Senate. One of the big provisions in the big beautiful bill, as was originally passed in the House, was I forget what the exact title of it is, but it's a provision of the bill that is designed to help spur domestic production of vehicles. And one of the provisions that was in there was a boost, an ability, something that was designed to boost the sales of domestically assembled, domestically produced motorcycles. So this provision passed the House. However, there was talk about, if you kind of go back to your Schoolhouse Rock civics lesson, whenever a bill passes one house of the Congress, it goes to the other house of the Congress. There, it can be amended, it can be changed, and then it goes back to the other body for ratification. Eventually, after it passes both houses, both chambers of Congress, it then goes to the president's desk for signature. So in this situation, the House passed the big beautiful bill. It went to the Senate for debate and for potential amendments. One of the amendments to the House version that had come up in the Senate was the removal of motorcycles to the bill. They wanted to still pass it for cars to be included, but they just didn't want the tax break to go to motorcycles. So I guess I should take a step back and explain what was being debated, the stimulus, I guess, for motorcycle enthusiasts. It is the ability for you to deduct from your income taxes, to deduct all of your interest paid on new motorcycle sales on your motorcycle note, deduct the interest from your income tax for all new motorcycle purchases that are assembled in the United States between the years of 2025 and 2028. I believe it's either 25 or 26 to 28. So if you buy a new motorcycle anytime in that time frame, you can deduct the interest that you spend, the interest that you have on your motorcycle note. You can deduct that from your income tax, and that is an above-the-board deduction. So even if you take the itemized, you can still claim the deduction, which is huge. Usually, I'm not a tax professional. I'll be the first one to tell you this, but a lot of folks take the standardized deduction, and you have to be able to deduct, I think it was like over $10,000 in itemized deductions for it to even make sense. Because if you don't get to your standardized deduction, if you can't itemize and get above that standardized deduction, it doesn't matter what additional tax breaks are out there, because it makes more sense for you to take the standardized. Well, this being an above the board tax deduction, you can take the itemized and still end up claiming that tax credit, which is amazing. So going back to what I was talking about, is that version had passed the House. It was being debated in the Senate. Well, the Harley-Davidson Motor Company, as well as the National Power Sports Dealer Association, they went to bat for motorcycle riders. Now, there's a lot of folks out there. There is no, for these people, there is no love lost for the dealerships. I know people out there who freaking hate dealerships. It's very difficult for them to see it from the dealership's perspective. They want nothing to do with dealerships. They will go private treaty sales on motorcycles all day long. They will go to the local motorcycle shop and get their things fixed over there. They have no love whatsoever for the dealers. And I know folks out there that feel the same way about Harley-Davidson. Now, all you Harley riders out there, please don't throw stones at me. I am just simply... Y'all know there's haters out there. I don't have to tell you this. There are Harley-Davidson haters in the world. And if I am the first one on this planet to break this news to you, I am so sorry. There's some people out there who don't like Harleys. But anyhow, Harley-Davidson went to bat for you motorcycle riders. So did the National Power Sports Dealer Association. They went to bat for motorcycle riders for these. And it wasn't completely, if I was to sit here and say that it was completely benevolent on their part, I would be lying to you 100%. They're doing this in their self-interest. Harley-Davidson makes motorcycles domestically. They stand to gain a lot from this. So does the National Power Sports Dealer Association, of which there are a lot of Harley-Davidson dealerships that are members of that association. So, like I said, if I was if I was to sit here and say that they were doing it out of their own free will and out of the niceness of their heart, I would be completely lying to you. But so there was a profit motivation in this for them, because they can turn around and sell more motorcycles this way, or at least they would hope to sell more motorcycles this way. But they went and used their lobbying arms in the Senate. There were a lot of backdoor dealings and negotiations. There was several senators that were targeted for lobbying efforts, and all of this, I don't have any kind of special sources in Congress. I promise you, I don't. All of this is being reported in the open media. So there were targeted senators that were specifically targeted for lobbying, and these guys were some of the bigger, harder hitters when it comes to this bill. So eventually they were able to ensure that the motorcycle provision stayed in the big, beautiful bill. And this bill, as opposed to some bills that have been gone through the Congress as of recent times, there was I guess there was a rock on the accelerator on this particular bill, because it was a hot topic priority for the president. He wanted the big, beautiful bill pushed through. There was a lot of stuff that was in there. When this bill went to the Senate, there was a lot of debate on a lot of other provisions of the big, beautiful bill. There was quite a bit of pork that was being shoved onto it. But the part that we were mainly concerned of, the motorcycle provision, that survived the Senate. It went through for a final vote, was passed in the Senate, and then went back to the House for ratification. There for a little while, it was worrisome, because you wonder if the House would do anything with that provision, or if there was some last minute negotiations or something like that would change the House's outlook on that provision. Although it's doubtful, right? Because they passed it in the first place. But thankfully it went through the House, no problem, went to the president's desk. And it is good as signed at that point in time. So the big, beautiful bill is now law. Big, beautiful bikes are now a thing. Again, if you buy a new motorcycle that's assembled in the United States, I believe it's year model 2025 or 2026 to 2028, you can deduct that from your income tax, which is, it's not going to pay for a motorcycle, right? It's not free motorcycles, but it helps. And if you are looking at buying a new motorcycle, which I personally am, It's no secret. I've done videos on this. I have my Kawasaki Vulcan Voyager, but I'm looking for a replacement for that bike. That is going to cause me to consider assembled in United States motorcycles a little bit more, simply because there's that extra brake out there. And unless the prices come down on the Kawasaki's, that's huge. So definitely we'll be looking at that. That's definitely a huge plus in the column for an American manufactured motorcycle. So Harley-Davidson, Indian, those are definitely pluses in those columns. So I'll be looking at them a little bit more closely. But huge news coming out of Washington, D.C. and off of Pennsylvania Avenue for motorcycle riders. If you're in the market for a new motorcycle and you've been holding off, now is the time to take advantage of this. Same goes if you were looking for a car. I think there's a couple other categories of vehicles that are in the bill that you might want to look at. So yeah, if you're looking for a new vehicle, or if you're looking for a motorcycle or something of that nature, and you're looking at domestically produced, might be a time to buy. Who knows? So yeah, big, beautiful bikes. They are now the law of the land, which is great. Next, one of the news articles that have come out recently is that Harley-Davidson has recently sold a big portion of its headquarters building in Milwaukee. It stirred up a lot of questions about what is the company doing? Is this a sign of troubled times? What have you? And the questions are certainly valid because of a lot of the issues that have come up recently with Hardwire and the business strategy and the investor revolt. So these are all valid questions. But before we get into that, I wanted to let everyone know that I've partnered with Eagle Lights in order to provide a great discount to Burroughs Point Nation. And I've seen a lot of talk on different forums that I'm a part of about wanting to upgrade lighting on their motorcycles. So, if you've got a brand new Indian or a brand new Harley-Davidson, then this is not going to apply to you, right? Because they're coming from LEDs from the factory. They're amazing from the factory. They're bright as day from the factory. It's great. But if you're like me and you've got an older motorcycle, or if you've got a motorcycle that comes from the factory without LED, Kawasaki Vulcan Voyager, then you might want to be looking at upgrades. So Eagle Lights has got a bunch of great upgrades for you. They've got the headlight kit that allows you to do a 1-for-1 swap with the 7 3/4 light, or whatever it is, the standard Harley-Davidson light. It allows you to do that 1-for-1 swap. The bracket and everything's there. The passing lights, they've got lights for those. You'll just have to get adapters for them. But if you go to eaglelights.com and you use promo code Burroughs Point, BURROUGHSPOINT, use that promo code, you'll get 15% off your entire order at checkout. That's 15% off your entire order at checkout. We're talking about how to save money, saving money on big, beautiful bikes. This is another way to save money. So use that promo code at checkout. Save that cash and upgrade those lights. Be safer on the road, be more visible on the road, and just look better on the road. Anyhow, check them out, eaglelights.com. So, going back to the Harley-Davidson headquarters question. Again, there is it's not a great sign of the times when Harley-Davidson is talking about selling off a portion of its properties in order to accommodate, a brewery, or not a brewery, a distillery. So it makes you wonder what the heck is going on with Harley-Davidson. And, there's certainly a tourism aspect to this, right? Because downtown Milwaukee, the Harley-Davidson headquarters, people go to the Harley-Davidson headquarters. It's like Mecca, right? So, and there's, if you're not familiar with Harley-Davidson, the headquarters building out there and all that, it's more than just one campus. Harley-Davidson has got several buildings in Milwaukee. They've got the outlet area. They've got a visitor center. They got a conference center. They got the main headquarters. They've got a whole bunch of different campuses there in Milwaukee. But this one particular place, I think it's on Juneau Avenue, if I remember correctly. So there's a revitalization that's going on Juneau Avenue. One of the aspects of the revitalization has been the immediate area around Harley-Davidson headquarters. They opened up, or Harley-Davidson has sponsored a park that is out there right in front of the Harley-Davidson headquarters. So there's been a little bit of Harley-Davidson investment in the tourism in that area, and they've put some cash in there, and they've put their money where the mouth is, essentially. And like I said, they've got a neat little park down there. But this move is brilliant for a couple different reasons. One of which is because by selling this to the brewery, you are bringing an attraction to the area that not only are people coming to the area for the Harley-Davidson headquarters, but people are going to be coming over here and spending more time in the area, hanging out in the area. Previously, they may have come out there to see the headquarters, take a few pictures, and then take off on their way. Here, they may come down, take their pictures, go to the distillery, spend some time, hang out, what have you. So it's great for a couple different reasons. One, for tourism. Two, you are building value for people who are wanting to come and visit your headquarters. So now it's not just a one and done to go in, take some photos and leave. You can come in and hang out and do whatever. But it's not like they went in and opened like a fancy restaurant or something like that, right? Or some generic burger joint. If you are in the motorcycle community, I would say there's a better than average chance that whiskey would be your thing, right? So you may want to, if you're riding a motorcycle and you want to come down there and have a tasting of whiskey, by no means am I advocating that you drink and ride. Don't do that. But I'm saying that if you want to come down there and do a tasting, visit Harley-Davidson headquarters, do a tasting, run around, do your thing. That may be an option now. So it's great that they picked a distillery to partner with for that particular expansion, because it's buying into and providing for the Harley-Davidson clientele. So that's a brilliant move in and of itself. The other thing to consider is when Johann Zeitz came in as CEO of Harley-Davidson, there were a lot of changes made to personnel, staffing, things of that nature. And so what is important to consider is we're talking, we are, 5 years removed from COVID, right? At this point in time. So 5 years after after working in labor essentially has changed forever. And so telework became a thing for a lot of folks. Remote work, hybrid work, all these other options became a thing. I know for my employer at the time when I was working through COVID, there was a lot of emphasis placed on telework, working from home, and not everyone has a telework job, right? So like the guys and gals on the Harley-Davidson production line, that's not a telework job. It's never going to be a telework job, right? It's just not going to work. But what about your customer service reps? What about the people who answer the phone? What about the people who type up stuff, who don't really go to a factory, don't do test track stuff, don't do any of that stuff? It's entirely possible for those people to work from home. And so what Harley-Davidson has done, as well as a lot of other employers across the country, they have learned that one of the perks to allowing hybrid work, to allowing remote work from home, all this other stuff is, you'll have the occasional Zoom meeting of people in their underwear, people just wearing a shirt and nothing else underneath. You'll have some of that going on, but the trade-off for that is if these people are working from their home office, you don't have to staff an office, which is huge. For a lot of companies, physical plant, their physical blueprint, right? Or not blueprint, their physical footprint, right? Their building, that it represents one of the largest expenses in business. Office buildings cost money. They cost money to rent. They cost money to have power, water, sewer. They cost money to do the pest control, provide security, all those things, right? So when you reduce the need for such a large office building, but you're keeping the same workforce, you're just not having to house them, you have the potential to save a ton of money. And so a lot of companies have figured this out, and Harley-Davidson was no exception. They established 3 classifications of employees. One was the gotta work, gotta be in the office, gotta be at the test track, gotta be whatever, right? These are people who have to work on site, cannot remote, cannot do anything. The second one was hybrid employees. They decided that, you can work in and out of the office, what have you. And then the third classification was fully remote employees. One of the big advantages to hiring folks fully remote is that they can take advantage of labor pools that aren't easily accessible in Milwaukee. Not everyone wants to move to Milwaukee. Not everyone can move to Milwaukee. So if you are able to recruit out of labor pools outside of the immediate Milwaukee area, that's all the better for you. Now, out of these 3 pools, the largest pool of Harley-Davidson employees was going to be the hybrid pool, right? So you got people, a certain amount of people will come in for so many days a week. That was the way that they were setting everything up. So not only did they throw a whole bunch of employees into that bucket, they also set a maximum occupancy level. So what a lot of companies have done, and I don't know what Harley-Davidson has done specifically in their physical office building, but a lot of the cubicles, a lot of the desks, a lot of offices, all of that goes away. Nobody's assigned an office anymore. You have day working stations, and people just come in for the day, work, and then leave. So the idea here is you have hybrid employees that come in for some days during the week, and the office becomes a collaborative space versus the place where you do work. You just come to the office for meetings. You come to the office to take clients. You come to the office for all these things that you can't do at your house. The rest of it, you just do at the house. So that entire regime, right, started by Johann Zeitz. One of the things that came out of Hardwire that was actually good for the company, they finagled it to where they didn't need as much space. And so when you're looking at all of this additional real estate, and you're not, you've done this for 5 years at this point, right? I'd say it's a fair bet that you are not going to need that office space, right? If you've made it for 5 years and you've successfully hybrid worked and you've successfully teleworked and you've identified the positions that have to be in office, have to be in building, right? You've done all of that. You figured all of that out. Then why would you hold on to that extra office space? There's no need to hold on to that extra office space. It's just an added expense of maintenance, of power, water, sewer, garbage, all of that stuff, security, right? It's just an extra expense. So why not get rid of it? And in this situation, Harley-Davidson has. And they've liquidated it, and they've turned it into a capital asset, money, essentially, right? They've turned that into an asset that they can now use, put that back into R&D, put it into operations, offset the insane losses of Livewire, all of that stuff, right? So good on Harley-Davidson for managing their portfolio of real estate. Obviously, if they've gotten to the point where they decided that it's time to get rid of it, and they end up selling it to a complementary business that complements their own business, and And I saw some of the preliminary diagrams, drawings, conceptual photos. It looks like there's going to be chock. This place is going to be chock full of Harley-Davidson memorabilia as well. You may get people in there that have never been on a motorcycle in a day in their life. They get in there, they see the atmosphere, they hang out, and they decide, hey, I might want to get on a motorcycle. So not only is it all of the above that we just mentioned, in a way, in an end-around way, it could end up being a PR move as well, and an advertising move. So there you go. So good on Harley-Davidson for figuring this out and for taking this depreciating asset, well, maybe not depreciating asset, but taking this asset that is dormant and not doing anything for the company and turning it into a net positive. So cheers. I learned my lesson over the last several episodes to have something to drink, because after you talk for a while, your mouth ends up getting dry, throat gets raspy, just no bueno, bad juju all around. So, train of thought has derailed. So that's a good thing for Harley-Davidson. They're turning that, again, it sounds disconcerting at the start, but turning it into an asset that they can use, now that's something. Now, let's talk about the let's talk about how Harley-Davidson, since we're on that topic, right? Let's talk about their company, I guess, where they are right now in the whole grand scheme of things. Now, we are post the investor, let's call it an investor revolt, right? We are post investor revolt, and we are currently in the lame duck era of Johann Zeitz, his leadership at the motor company. And so they are basically at this point, looking for a new CEO who's supposed to be an outside hire. And they're just kind of coasting along, and we are before the date certain that the folks who are there, who have dedicated themselves to resign, we were before that resignation date, right? All of that stuff was achieved through backdoor dealings. Let's just say it was a lot of backdoor dealings. Again, I don't have any special insight to all of this, but where I am getting this information from is open source news reporting. And there's been a good bit of backdoor dealings to try and force the Harley-Davidson leadership to change the direction of the company. And for good reason, right? Because we've talked about this extensively on this channel. Last several quarters, Harley-Davidson has been bleeding cash, a lot of it going into the disaster that is Livewire, that no one wants, essentially. No one wants an electric motorcycle. And that is reflected in the sales figures, right? I think Livewire in the most recent quarter did single-digit sales in the Livewire motorcycles. Not a good thing. So, there was, even though the investor revolt failed, even though they failed to force the resignation and to force the firing of these candidates and to force the CEO to be fired, even though they failed in that initial effort, that there was a ton of backdoor dealing that was going on and some heavy suggestions that they should take certain actions. Now, coming out of this, Harley-Davidson leadership tried to spin this to where they came out looking like they were doing well. They were coming out of the other end smelling like a rose. But we all know that the the investor revolt, the fact that they were able to get such a high percentage of the shareholders to vote a certain way, that sends a clear signal to Harley-Davidson leadership that, hey, y'all are messing up. Y'all need to figure this out, right? So all of that turmoil has led us up to this point. There's been assurances by Harley-Davidson leadership that we're going to get a new CEO in here shortly, within the next little bit, that the current board members that have been targeted by the investor revolt have promised to step down at the conclusion of all of this. And it looks like that there are some, Harley-Davidson is attempting to kind of shear itself away from Livewire a little bit. It seems like there are a lot of changes on the horizon. So Wall Street has responded to this positively. And you have seen a lot of institutional investors. Now, these guys are not going to be your GameStop bros. They're not your AMC bros. These guys are going to be professional investors, people or companies and firms and funds that have armies of researchers, analysts, stock analysts. You're going to have actuaries. You're going to have a ton of folks that do research. If you work for these companies, they're not going to bet on a bad bet, right? Essentially, they're going to take calculated risks. When you're dealing with this much investor money, they're going to take calculated risks based upon a mathematical probability of success in the investments, right? They're not trying to make a stock shoot to the moon or anything else like that, right? A lot of these institutional investors are doubling down on Harley-Davidson. They're increasing their their shares. They're increasing their positions in the company, and they're buying up a ton of stock. And what that says to a lot of people is that again, when you're an institutional investor like this, you're a large-scale institutional investor, you're not going to put your money on a dying horse, right? So what that says to a lot of people, sends a signal to a lot of people, is that there may be some there may be some backdoor dealings going on that are providing assurances to these investment firms that, yes, things are trending in a positive direction. But the more likely thing is probably that they're looking at all this turmoil in the company and where everything has settled, where all the dust has settled, and they've decided that Harley-Davidson may be trending in the right direction. Harley-Davidson may be making the changes that it needs to make to turn the losses that have been occurring from quarter to quarter to quarter, either the losses or the stagnating sales numbers, and to turn them around. Well, what are the things that would make the institutional investors feel this way? Well, Harley-Davidson has announced some entry-level motorcycles. They reduced the price of the Nightster. They have made commitments to I guess, minimizing the impact of Livewire on their sales models, or on their sales, essentially. There is a commitment to looking at smaller displacement motorcycles to try to bring some of those into market as entry-level options. So there is a lot of talk about doing the right thing, about turning sales figures around, and about getting people into the Harley-Davidson environment. I guess I was going to call it ecosystem. But getting folks into the Harley-Davidson ecosystem, the idea here is that they buy Harley-Davidson once, they buy it for life. And for a lot of people, that's true. Once you buy Harley-Davidson, you want to live in that environment. You're in the culture. You're in the atmosphere of all that Harley-Davidson stuff. So, I don't know if y'all are Harley riders. You probably know this, but a lot of people buy into that culture and they live in it because that's what they like. So there's a lot of talk about getting new folks into the culture. There's a lot of talk about trying to turn this ship around, trying to take a look at some of the failing sales practices and turning them around. So whatever is going on over there at the motor company, and whatever is being said behind closed doors and publicly, I think that there's some hope there from these institutional investors, that they're putting their money where their mouth is, and that based upon the totality of the circumstances, all the numbers that they're looking at, all of the things that are coming out of Harley-Davidson leadership, all of the things that are being said during the investor shareholder calls, all that other stuff, it's all trending in the right direction, and is doing such in a way to make those people want to put extra money into the motor company. So I would say that Harley-Davidson is a company to watch. You as the rider, how this affects you is that Harley-Davidson is a company to watch. They, as an end rider, right? If you are not a shareholder in Harley-Davidson, if you're just a Harley-Davidson, if you're just a guy who rides Harleys, right? The stock price does not affect your bottom line, right? That doesn't affect your ability to go buy a motorcycle. You don't really care about the stock price. And I get that, right? It doesn't make sense for you to care about that much. But I will say that a healthy company who can market their motorcycles in such a way, they want to be competitive. So if Harley's competitors, Indian Motorcycle, if Harley's competitors are doing a certain thing or putting out a superior product or what have you, and they're doing so at a lower price, Harley wants to be able to compete with that. So, and they want to get people into the brand. So a healthy Harley-Davidson benefits you, the end consumer, by giving you additional options, giving you more models to choose from, allowing you to purchase said motorcycle at potentially a lower rate, all of that stuff. And it also keeps the company out of bankruptcy, which is also a great thing if you like Harley-Davidson motorcycles, because, if there's no Harley-Davidson, you wouldn't be able to buy Harley-Davidson motorcycles. And I'm not sure who would be the company to take if Harley went bankrupt. I don't know who would be around to try to take that company into receivership. But man, you do not want another bowling ball company to take a bowling lane company to take back over Harley-Davidson. So a healthy Harley-Davidson helps everyone in the end, and not just Harley-Davidson, but it helps the competitors as well. Because if you're an Indian guy and you like Indian motorcycles, a healthy Harley-Davidson helps Indian to be better because they compete. And in the end of the day, you as a consumer win from healthy competition. So there is that also. So yeah, Harley-Davidson is the company to watch. I would continue to watch what they do over the next couple months. It will be interesting to see who they select as CEO, whether they select someone who comes from the automotive industry, the motorcycle industry, or something else entirely. Be interesting to see who they choose and who they bring in there. But what's for certain is that whoever gets in there is going to get a bit of a mess, and they're going to need to hit the ground running to fix some of this stuff. So we'll just have to see. Well, those are the three main topics. Tacos? I don't know. Those are the three main topics that I wanted to cover tonight. And I wanted to go through a few housekeeping things. So at the beginning of this video, you may have seen Dakota. She is you're going to see her recurring here on the channel, and you're going to hear it here first. She is going to be my, I'm not going to use her to replace things, but she is a product of AI. She's an AI generated character. And what I plan on using her for is to help introduce topics, do some of the talking, so I'm not having to talk constantly all the time, and to give you something different to look at. It's just a way. I think it's just a way to boost the channel and to be able to give you the information, you the end consumer of all these videos and all this media that I produce, a way for you to I guess just another way to present the information in a way that's fun, that's entertaining, and easily acceptable to everyone. No, I'm not going to start making faceless content. That's not at all what I intend to do. I just did last week. We talked about, week before, something like that. We just talked about the dangers of AI, faceless channels. No, I'm not going down that road. And as always, I intend to have a large role in these videos. I'm not phoning it in. And as opposed to what some of these junk AI faceless channels have done, I am prepared to show my receipts. So I'm not going to talk about news and information and all this other junk and not be able to show my receipts to justify what I'm reporting on, and to, I'm going to show you what I'm talking about and where I'm getting it from. So there is that. So no, Dakota is going to be, she's just going to be an extra character on my channel. I intend to start introducing a couple of characters here and there. Not all of them will be AI, but I've got some plans here in the next several months to really step up on this channel and kind of make it a little bit more entertaining. Yes, we're going to be here talking about news, talking about opinions, going on rides and things of that nature. None of that's going to stop. Just like I said, we're going to try to make it a little bit more entertaining if we can. And Dakota is just another way to do that. So she's going to do a little bit of talking, but not taking over by any means. So look out for Dakota. Look out for these additional characters that will be coming on the Burroughs Point channel in the next several months. We'll just have fun with it. That's all. And you know what? We may get down this road and decide, we're just going to scrap having an AI character. But I think it'll be fun to do. So anyhow. So yeah, that's Dakota then. So in case you guys were wondering, let's go to the chat real quick. Motorbomb Virginia says that was worth the wait. That was way earlier in the broadcast, so I think he was talking about Dakota. So there's that. But yeah, we're trucking right along here on the channel. Continue to share this channel with other folks, to subscribe if you're not subscribed already. That's the best way that you can help me out, is send in that subscription, or smash that subscribe button. I don't know what I'm saying. It's late. I'm tired. It's not really late per se, but it's been a long weekend. We've been doing a lot of stuff with the Fam Jam, so it's been it's been an interesting weekend. So anyhow, but yeah, just hit that subscribe button. It means the world to me. It really helps out the channel. Even though we're over 1,000 subs, it still helps. It helps to lend credibility to the channel, and also helps to expand the reach. So like, subscribe, share this channel with other folks. We'd love to try and talk to them about motorcycle stuff, and I just love doing these videos for y'all, really, at the end of the day. So it's a labor of love, really, at the end of the day. So, but we'll hang around here for a few more minutes to see if anyone shows up in the chat. This is sweet tea, nothing crazy. So we're a family-friendly channel here. So we've got some more a few more videos that are queued up that'll be dropping. We're back on production for 2 videos a week. We'll have a few more videos posting here shortly. A couple interesting articles that have come out recently that really I think are worth discussing. So we'll put those videos up there. Make sure you comment, and we'll talk about them here during the live streams when we recap the previous week's postings and talk about current events and all that other stuff in the motorcycle world. But y'all drop a comment there on these videos as they come available. Love to discuss these topics as they come up. So, but yeah, just we're just doing the thing. We're doing the thing. I was just scrolling through the comments, see if there's anything else. But yeah, I was just kind of going through my head. Yeah, so later this month, we're July 6th right now. Oh, something else I wanted to bring up. I almost forgot about this too. Local news here in Tallapoosa County, Alabama, is that there was a fireworks show over on Lake Martin. So if you're not familiar with Alabama, Lake Martin is one of the largest freshwater lakes in the state, and Alexander City, where I'm based out of, is pretty much on the shores of Lake Martin. And so it was over in Dadeville, south of Dadeville, on Lake Martin, over in the Blue Creek area of Lake Martin. One of the fireworks barges was doing a fireworks show, and it actually, from what the preliminary news reports are saying, is that a round, one of the artillery shell rounds, the big booms, it got caught in the tube and did not properly clear the tube and blew up in the tube and pretty much set the whole barge on fire, and all went downhill from there. I know that there were several people who were life flighted out from that area. Niffers, if you're familiar with this area, Niffers was turned into a LZ for the helicopter, and they were life flighted out to area hospitals. So y'all keep them in your prayers as well. It's just crazy. There's just I don't know if it's just a long holiday weekend, man. I mean, it's just bad things happen in the world. So, but we're thinking about all those folks. Again, keep the folks in Texas out there. Think about them, and we'll keep them in our prayers too. And I will be, depending upon how this shakes out. Like I said, I had plans to go and ride the hill country and to do a video on the hill country, but if it's still very much an active disaster area out there, I may can that particular thing and seek out an alternate location. I've got some other ideas in mind. I'll be headed out to the Oklahoma, Texas area for a week and a half, basically. So we'll just play that by ear and see what's up. Like I said, we'll make a video out of it. We'll make a trip out of it, but it may end up being a little bit different than I envisioned, but that's okay. Like I said, the disaster relief, that comes first. And so we want to make sure those first responders and disaster responders out there, we stay out of their way. But just like Appalachia, just like when the hurricane came through, all in those areas in the Blue Ridge, once the disaster is over, we want to go in there and we want to patronize those businesses, because it being summertime, I know that out there in the hill country that tourism, there is some tourism that goes on out there. So we want to go out there and patronize those businesses as soon as they get everything cleared up, so we can make sure we can support our motorcycle businesses. And there's a couple of good ones out there that I was planning on visiting. So, like I said, I don't know what the status of them are, but patronize your local motorcycle business, especially after a disaster. So anyhow, we're coming up on the 1 hour mark, so I'm going to check the chats one more time. And I don't see any new chats. So anyhow, appreciate y'all watching. Love discussing these topics. These are things that I like to do the research on to bring you the information. We may not be the quickest in breaking the information here on the Burroughs Point YouTube channel, but we certainly will take all of the information that we can find, all the news reports we can find. You're going to find hard-hitting analysis. You're going to hear, if I could talk, it'd be great. You're going to hear hard-hitting analysis here on Burroughs Point YouTube. We're going to talk about these topics. We're going to dive deep into them, and we're going to do more than just a surface level looking at it. So we'll talk through some of these things, and we'll get to the bottom of what it means to you, the motorcycle rider. So until next time, we'll catch you guys next week from 7:30 to 8:30 right here, live from the Point, Burroughs Point YouTube, Sunday nights, live from the Point. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to leave a comment, subscribe, share this video and this channel with everyone else you know. And I will catch y'all, as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video.